Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Instagram Live from the Traditional Industries Museum. As you can see from the poster behind me, today's topic is the Gozan no Okuribi, the 5 mountain send-off fires. I'd like to talk to you about the Gozan no Okuribi. Although it takes place on August 16th, today we have a special guest here with us. We are joined today by Mr. Murano, the Vice Director of the Daimonji Preservation Society. Honestly, we would have liked to do this Instagram Live on the 16th, but as Mr. Murano said, on the 16th he has to light the fires and will be very busy. So today we are recording this session and we'll introduce it to you later. Also, we will be accepting Gomagi prayer sticks here at the museum. We would like to air this in accordance with that schedule, so thank you very much. First of all, regarding the Gozan no Okuribi and the 5 mountains, could you briefly tell us when this tradition started and a little about its origins?
Speaking historically, it goes back so far that it's hard to pinpoint exactly where it truly began. We ourselves aren't entirely sure, and there are various theories. But as for Daimonji, some say it was started by Kobodaishi in the Heian period, while others say it was Ashikaga Yoshimasa in the Muromachi period. Since there are so many theories, basically the Okuribi, sending off fire, is in early August. We welcome the spirits called O-shorosan, and then we bring them back home, lighting the welcoming fire, ringing the welcoming bell, and doing various things to have them return home. And then on August 16th, we send them off toward the Western Pure Land to the west. Lighting a fire to send them off is the original origin of the Okuribi, sending off fire tradition.
Currently, there are 5 Okuribi fires on the 5 mountains, but according to historical documents, it seems there used to be even more in the past.
That's right. It said there were 10 mountains with characters like eye, snake, bell on a pole, and that there were various characters and patterns.
Are absolutely none of those things still around at all today?
No, they're quite hard to find. In Ichiharano, they did find the firebed for the character eye, but originally it was something that the local neighborhood association, or rather the local people, did for their own ancestors, so it wasn't done as a tourist event like it is now. So now, as the neighborhood associations disappear, there are fewer people to preserve these traditions, so it's said that they may no longer exist today.
Now, regarding the Gozan no Okuribi, the 5 mountains, if we go through them in order, there's Daimonji, then Mio and Ho, Funagata, Hidari Daimonji, and Torigata. That's how they're arranged. Originally, each of them was independent. Could you tell us more about that?
To be honest, I don't really have much familiarity with the other mountain ranges, but as for Daimonji, our ancestors who lived around Ginkakuji Temple have passed it down and protected it for nearly 400 years. Other mountains also have religious significance, and for example, in the case of Tori, it's protected by people living in the Sagano area. There are also places like Funagata and Mayoho, which are protected by temple parishioners.
The parishioners of each temple.
So, every single one of these items is carefully shielded and protected in a variety of different ways.
So, just now you mentioned parishioners. If we consider it as part of a religious event, then regarding the Daimonji on Mount Nyoi, what kind of temple is it, or what is the relationship there?
Historically speaking, Ginkakuji is actually a sub-temple of Shokokuji. So strictly speaking, it would be considered Rinzai sect, but currently the temple is being protected by the management of the Daimonji, including the chanting of sutras and such, is handled by Jodo-in Temple. Since they are the ones taking care of it, it's not really about being particular about the religious sect, but rather about the passion and the desire to send off the Okuribi, the ceremonial fire, the wish to send off the O-shorosan, departed spirits, and also the feeling of wanting to continue this tradition. I think it's because important people have remained, and each preservation society, each group is still carrying on the tradition. As for our Daimonji, there are currently 40 households involved. These 40 families protect the tradition, and their sons, daughters, or other relatives also help to preserve it. On the actual day of the event itself, specifically the 16th day of the month of August, everyone gathers together to light the fires in this way.
I mentioned this last year as well, but this Daimonji event, although it has become a major tourist attraction, known as one of Kyoto's 4 great festivals, was originally meant to be a solemn and sacred occasion. I would like to emphasize that point again here. Was it the year before last? I remember hearing about someone flying a helicopter to view the Daimonji. I also recall people saying, "What a sacrilegious thing to do." I was really surprised. So today I'd like to dig a little deeper into this topic. When it comes to lighting the Daimonji fires, the fire beds, or rather those flames themselves, I'd like to talk a bit about the structure of those fires, and also today you've brought some Gomagi ritual wooden sticks with you. So I'd like to dig a little deeper into the relationship between those Gomagi and the fire beds. If you wouldn't mind explaining that for us.
Sure. First, regarding the fire beds, there are 75 of them on the mountain. On top of those, there are Oya stones, and generally we place 2 Oya stones, each about 1 meter long and 30 centimeters wide, side by side. On top of that, we first lay red pine split logs, each about 50 centimeters long. Each log is about 5 centimeters in diameter, I suppose. We split square timber into logs ourselves, using firewood axes.
So you basically make split logs that are exactly 50 centimeters in length.
Originally, we would fell massive trees, sometimes tens of meters tall, and then stack them in a crisscross pattern. So first, the foundation is made of red pine split logs. On top of that, this time we neatly place various pieces of planned hinoki, Japanese cypress lumber, that are easy to write on. We also stack those in a crisscross pattern. That gets built up to about 150 centimeters high.
Starting from the Oya stone at the bottom all the way up.
We stack it up to around 120 to 150 centimeters. In between, we take measures to block the wind and other things by propping up straw and filling the gaps with pine needles taken from the red pine. We insert the pine needles that are still attached to the branches in between, using them as a fuse. After lighting a match at the very bottom, those pine needles catch fire, and then the fire spreads to the split wood, then to the Gomagi sticks, creating the fire structure.
So in the past, was it done only with split wood, and is placing the Gomagi sticks a more recent practice?
Even though we say recent, it's already been 50 or 60 years. In the context of tourism, the Gozan Federation was formed before Showa 40, 1965, and when the Gozan decided to come together as a federation, that's when they started accepting these donations, which is how the practice of Gomagi began.
Moving on to the next part. Could you please explain the process of how to write on the Gomagi sticks? I would really like to ask you to explain that in more detail for us.
In the past, it was really for our ancestors, for the spirits of the departed, and people would write their ancestors' posthumous Buddhist names or their names. But these days, people often write wishes or messages to their ancestors or the spirits of the departed. They write messages like, "We're doing well," or "We'll do our best this year too." So the messages have become very heartfelt and expressive. Because there are many foreign tourists, especially at Ginkakuji, some people write in English. And even if it's not in Japanese, for example, things like "world peace," those kinds of wishes are also written. I see people carefully record and document the thoughts and feelings they wish to express. And it becomes our fundamental responsibility to ensure those important messages are delivered.
So, regarding these Gomagi sticks, they will also be available at the Kyoto Traditional Crafts Museum in Miyakomese. So these are the Gomagi sticks. As it says here, they are offered in the form of a donation. They are available for 400 yen per stick and up. So if you visit the museum and feel like, I'd like to write one too, you're welcome to do so. Starting in August, we plan to accept these at the museum. Next, this is something we often hear, and as it's written here as well, following the order at exactly 8 o'clock, we start with Daimonji, then 5 minutes later move on to Mayoho. After that, we go to Funagata, and then to Hidari Daimonji, and so on. As for how the initial ceremonial flame is traditionally ignited at the very top of the structure,
according to the flow of the day from the 14th, 15th, and 16th, the Gomagi and firewood, which have been donated, are brought up to the mountain on the 15th and 16th. They are carried to the summit and around 3 p.m. distributed to the 75 fire beds for everyone. The distributed wood is then assembled by the members of each household, starting from around 3 p.m. and by about 6 p.m., before it gets dark, everything is set up. We cover them with plastic sheets to protect them in case it rains, and then we wait until 8 o'clock. Usually, starting around 3 or 4 p.m., we receive sacred lights from Jodo Inn and Ginkakuji below, and the board members each carry a candle up to the top, one by one, to a place called Daishido, located in the center of the Dai character. We usually leave the glowing candles sitting right there until it is exactly 8 o'clock. Then, at 7:57, which is just 3 minutes before the hour strikes, the chairman takes the flame received from the sacred light there and lights a small parent flame next to the center of the Dai character. This parent flame is lit 3 minutes before the main event. Then, when there is 1 minute left, we call out to the members of the Dai and ask, "Are you ready?" And then about 30 seconds before, I take a large torch, about 2 meters long, called the Utaimatsu, light it from the parent flame, and then swing it around. Since it's about 120 meters down to the bottom, my voice can't reach, so by doing this, I signal to the people at the fire beds below, all right, it's 10 seconds, 15 seconds left, we're about to light it, and so on. And also to the other mountains, all right, Daimonji is about to be lit, and including a sign to all the citizens that it's about to be lit, I swing it around 3 times. Once those 3 rotations are finished, we ignite the fire so that it happens exactly at 8 o'clock, and then everyone lights up at the same time. 75 fire beds, 40 families all light them simultaneously.
Now that you mention it, on NHK or KBS broadcasts, they say things like, "It's almost 8 o'clock, it's about to be lit, here we go." There are also various other audio cues included, and that's something Mr. Murano is in charge of, right?
Then there are announcements like, all right, a few minutes left, 1 minute left. Other mountains do it differently though. As for us, we do a simultaneous ignition. However, depending on skill, there are veterans and there are newcomers. For example, there are times when we might be 10 seconds or even a minute late, but we hope you'll be understanding about that.
So today we've been talking about the Gozan no Okuribi festival, and we've had Mr. Murano, the Vice Chairman of the Daimonji Preservation Society, join us. That's all for today, though I'm sure there's still so much more we could talk about. We'll now end this Instagram live recording here, and from the museum side, we'll be broadcasting it, so thank you all very much for joining us today. Thank you very much.